Hey folks, welcome back to the Wilson Combat Channel, to which we all hope you'll subscribe. I'm Massad Ayoob, and with me today is Joyce Wilson. Now, we're living in a time when we're seeing a very strong spike in women buying a gun for the first time and carrying guns for the first time. And I can't think of a better person to address that than a former national champion woman who is also the Executive Director of the Concealed Carry Sport, International Defensive Pistol Association. Joyce Wilson, thanks for coming.
Mas, thanks so very much for having me here.
Tell us about female involvement. I know IDPA from the beginning has encouraged women competitors.
We have, and we've tried to make it easy for women to come into the sport, because it's a lot cheaper than other shooting sports. You can go out and buy, even a box stock Glock, a couple extra magazines, a holster. Now the expensive part and the hard part to get is the ammo. But still, you can come in without having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, except for maybe the ammo, on a firearm, and come into the sport, which is very, very friendly and welcoming to women. We've even had a couple of women's only matches, because I realize that sometimes we're a little bit shy when it comes to wanting to get in to a match with a bunch of guys, and what should I expect, and I won't be as good or whatever. But IDPA is very, very welcoming, and it also teaches the principles of self-defense that are important, that could potentially save your life. And sadly, in today's world, it's kind of dangerous out there. So I'm really glad to hear that more and more women are buying firearms and learning to protect themselves, because what's that old saying, when you need a cop, they're only minutes.
Seconds count, the cops are only minutes away.
Right, exactly.
Well, so many more people of both genders are realizing they're their own first responders. Now, looking at the competitive shooting side from someone who may never have considered it before, it's great practice and training for an IDPA for drawing your gun from concealment, taking cover, and all the things you really need to focus on with a defensive firearm. As Joyce said, in most competitive shooting sports, you need to go out and buy a specialized rifle, shotgun, or handgun, and all the accessories. If you've already bought a self-defense pistol and a concealment holster, and obviously have a wardrobe of clothing to conceal it under, you have everything you need. And while prices have recently gone up, just for perspective, a box of, let's say, 50 rounds of 9mm ball costs about $25 today if you shop around for it. If you look at a 1985 Gun Digest, a box of 9mm ball cost $25 then too. So if you compare to gasoline, food, and all the rest, the ammo's not all that unavailable to you. Mm-hmm. But you'll see lots of role models, great female champions like Julie Golub, who has her own YouTube channel, and you'll learn a lot going there and looking at her, and Randy Rogers, who are out there kicking male butt and virtually embodying female empowerment.
Yes.
Kicking butt in a male-oriented game. It's somewhat enlightening and it's somewhat empowering just being there. Joyce, you were one of the first national champions in the sport, and I noticed you carry a pistol every day. Could you address the confidence that having been able to shoot in competition has given you for personal defense?
Oh my gosh, I didn't grow up in a firearm household, and I actually didn't shoot my first handgun until about 1995. I was 34 years old when I shot my first handgun. I actually was going through a bad divorce at the time and wanted a gun for self-protection. And so when IDPA came along, it was the perfect fit for me to get into something that was kind of like training, but a lot of fun. And IDPA has always focused also on the social aspect, of getting to meet like-minded people. Just the confidence that gave me in learning how to shoot and manipulate the firearm, and actually being able to shoot what you're aiming at. Because it's more than just carrying a gun. You really need to be, somewhat proficient in using it. Because if something happens, you have to be willing to make that decision. And as I learned in your class a few years ago, stop the threat. You have to have that mindset. And now I carry 24/7. probably about 5 years ago now, when things started getting a little dicier. I started carrying all the time, even here at the ranch, even though there aren't a lot of people around, because you just never know. And as the riots and things started in many of the big cities, I even put a spare magazine on. I thought, you know, the bullets that you need are the ones that you don't have. I'm gonna have as many as I have to. It's one of those things where we're far enough out here on the ranch that we live on that I can't rely on the local law enforcement. I mean, they'll get here when they can get here, but who knows when that can be.
Well, that, and there's always the chance of a venomous snake, a vicious animal, or a large rogue element of livestock.
Exactly.
And, you know, the pistol has saved a whole lot of people from those.
Exactly.
Getting back to the IDPA, as we discussed in another related video, the sport is a game, but because it embraces the tactical elements, it's really an element of training. One part of training is testing your skills, and competition is doing exactly that. Shooting against others gives you a benchmark of your own performance, and if it's your first match, you'll be attending a very carefully done, clear, lucid safety briefing by the range officers. The range officers will be told that you're new, so you'll be getting particular attention. And it's been my experience, all the other shooters are extremely welcoming of new shooters. You find very few people who leave their first IDPA match dissatisfied. Most of them can't wait to come back. And as we said elsewhere, if you're worried about coming in dead last, you probably won't. If you listen to the instructions, you'll probably do just fine. But even if you do come in dead last, you came in ahead of a whole lot of other people who thought they were honchos, but didn't have the guts to show up and shoot in front of people like you did. You'll make friends and you'll learn things. You can find an IDPA match near you at idpa.com, where you'll also find the rule book and lots of links to videos where you can see what it's all about. Joyce, thanks so much for being an inspiration to all the armed women out there in America.
Oh, Mass, thanks for having me on your show, and I appreciate all that you've done for me in my shooting. I took LFI1 a long time ago, and any of the courses that you can take from this man, make sure you take them, because it is information that will absolutely save your life.
Well, thank you. Again, there's a lot of information that might just save your life on the Wilson Combat channel. We hope you'll subscribe. Feel free to comment in the comment section, and we'll look forward to seeing you back. Stay safe.